If you feel lost right now, your brain might actually be doing exactly what it was designed to do, and that discomfort could be your biggest advantage. Most people think feeling behind means something is wrong. Neuroscience suggests the opposite. That 2 a.m. spiral, the comparison, the uncertainty, it isn't a flaw in your character. It's a predictable response to the modern world. Maybe you're in that uncomfortable space between who you used to be and who you're becoming, and honestly, it might feel pretty terrifying. Here's what I'm going to share with you in the next few minutes. 5 neuroscience-backed strategies that can transform this feeling of being lost from your biggest weakness into your secret weapon for building an extraordinary life. And stick around, because later in the video, I'll explain why that voice in your head telling you you're behind might actually be the most normal thing in the world. The moments when we feel most lost often precede our biggest breakthroughs. Today's insights come from groundbreaking research by neuroscientist Anne-Laure Lecomte, whose book, Tiny Experiments, completely changes how to think about uncertainty and personal growth. So let's start with strategy number 1, recognizing the Red Queen effect. Picture Alice in Wonderland, where the Red Queen tells Alice she has to run twice as fast just to stay in the same place. This perfectly captures modern life, doesn't it? We're optimizing our morning routines, hustling on side projects, building personal brands, all while scrolling through highlight reels of people who seem miles ahead of us. This creates what neuroscientists call time anxiety, that gnawing feeling that you're late to the party of life. Here's something wild. The average person today consumes more information in a single day than someone in the 1800s might have encountered in an entire year. Your nervous system didn't evolve for this. It evolved for a tribe of maybe 150 people, not billions. The important thing to understand is this. We're no longer measuring ourselves against reality. We're measuring ourselves against algorithms. This is why the question isn't, how do I catch up? But rather, why do I feel like I'm in a race in the first place? What would your life look like if you didn't feel rushed? That single reflection can be incredibly liberating. And here's the part most people never realize. That voice telling you you're behind, it isn't objective truth. It's a script your mind learned somewhere along the way, and most people spend years trying to obey that script, instead of questioning it or experimenting beyond it. These are inherited and outdated messages, and yes, they're protective, but they're not your deeper wisdom speaking. They're scripts. Strategy number 2 is about uncovering these invisible scripts, those mental autopilot programs, messages running your life without your conscious permission, telling you how life should unfold. There are 3 main scripts keeping you stuck. The sequel script convinces you that your next move must logically follow from your last one. If you studied engineering, you must become an engineer. The crowd pleaser script drives you toward choices that will make everyone happy, especially your parents, even if these actions drain your soul. And the epic script, which hits a lot of people the hardest, demands that if you're going to do something with your life, it better be monumentally significant. Take a moment and check something honestly. Which of these scripts has been quietly shaping your decisions? The sequel script, the crowd pleaser, or the epic? Most people can recognize at least one immediately. Place it in the comments, if you like. Simply put, the recognition of these scripts gives you power over them. Just having the terminology helps you think, oh, that's why I'm feeling pulled in this direction. This brings us to strategy number 3, which might be the most important. Embracing liminal spaces. A liminal space is that in-between zone where you're no longer who you were, but haven't yet become who you're meant to be. It's the gap between finishing university and landing your first job, between leaving one career and starting another. And if this description feels strangely familiar, that's because most real growth happens here. Our brains evolved to interpret uncertainty as danger. For 300,000 years, not knowing where your next meal was coming from could mean death. So we're wired to rush through uncertainty as quickly as possible. In the modern world, uncertainty rarely threatens your survival, but your brain doesn't know that. It still reacts as if it does, with stress, anxiety, and the urge to control everything. But here's the shift. Research shows that when we allow uncertainty instead of escaping it, it can fuel creativity, learning, and growth, turning discomfort into an advantage. Think of being on a long drive in a sudden downpour. You can panic because the rain reduces visibility and you're not fully in control. Or you can slow down, notice the rhythm of the rain on the windshield, and use the time to reflect. Listen to music or an audiobook you've been meaning to catch up on. The situation is the same. Only your response changes. It's normal for this to feel uncomfortable, and it's normal to want certainty immediately. But personal growth often comes from staying with uncertainty rather than rushing away from it. Next, let's look at strategy 4. Escaping the tyranny of purpose. This is crucial because so many of us feel pressure to find a single, true purpose in life. 100 years ago, almost nobody was talking about finding your purpose. Today, it's everywhere. Here's the problem. We've turned purpose into a destination, a fixed endpoint we need to reach. It's another version of the arrival fallacy, thinking that once we find our purpose, everything will magically make sense. But what if purpose isn't something you find once and keep forever like a treasure? What if it's something you live with daily, that evolves as you evolve? Instead of asking, "What is my life's purpose?" try asking, "What gives my life meaning right now, in this season?" This seasonal approach removes the pressure to have everything figured out forever. You don't need one unchanging purpose that unifies your entire existence. Finally, strategy number 5. Run tiny experiments. When you're in a liminal space feeling lost, shift from linear goals to experimental goals. Linear goals are binary. You either get into that school program or land that job, or you don't. Your business succeeds or fails. But this creates enormous pressure because you've either succeeded or failed completely. Experimental goals work differently. You start with a hypothesis. What if I tried this? Then you design an experiment to collect data about yourself. Maybe you write newsletters or journal for 6 weeks, or try meditation for 30 days. You're not committing to anything permanently. You're just gathering information about what feels meaningful to you. The framework for tiny experiments is packed, purposeful, feels exciting and meaningful, actionable, something concrete you can do, continuous, simple enough to repeat regularly, and trackable, clear yes or no answer to whether you did it. Here's an easy way to try tiny experiments for yourself. For the next 3 to 4 weeks, pick one small habit to experiment with. It could be as simple as taking 3 deep breaths before reaching for your phone in the morning, journaling for 5 minutes a day, drinking a full glass of water right after waking, or doing a quick body scan to release tension during the day or before bed. The goal isn't perfection. It's to gather information about what actually feels meaningful or energizing for you. Each day, track it, yes or no. Over time, you start to notice patterns. What gives you energy? what drains you, and what feels meaningful, and those patterns show you what works for you. The beautiful thing about experimental goals is that there's no failure when your only objective is to see what happens. If it works, great, you can continue or scale up. If it doesn't, you've learned something valuable to inform your next experiment. As we wrap up, remember this: feeling lost isn't a sign that something is wrong with you. It's often a sign that something is about to be very right. Those moments of uncertainty, those liminal spaces where you can't see the path forward, are often the breeding ground for your most authentic choices. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to find one perfect purpose. And you don't need to rush through uncertainty to get to the real part of your life. The uncertainty is the real part. It's where growth happens, where you discover what actually matters to you, where you slowly become who you're meant to be. You might be in one of those liminal spaces right now. If so, you're not behind. You're not failing at life. You're simply in a place where the next step isn't obvious yet. And that's often where the most important discoveries begin. If you're wanting deeper support for this, there are a few carefully chosen resources in the description: books, practices, and tools that can help you navigate liminal spaces with more clarity and steadiness. Take a look if it feels aligned. Sometimes the right resource at the right moment can shift everything. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.